of those videos, and I imagine driving home might have been a little tough getting out last night. What was it? What would you see outside the arena in that atmosphere?
No, we stayed as a staff and watched, so we didn't get out until about 1. So it was pretty clear by the time we got out. But that environment was unbelievable. Probably the loudest arena I've been in. You know, the fans, the electricity that they brought. Now, while we were meeting here, watching it, Doko, I mean, you can hear them partying while we were watching the film in our room upstairs. So to have that type of energy before the game, during the game, and then after the game was absolutely amazing.
What do you think that does to players?
It gives them energy. You know, they feed off of it, but more importantly, they know that the fans have that much interest and passion into the whole thing. They just want to do well for them as well.
After rewatching the game, what'd you make of De'Aaron on defense specifically?
Foxy was good. You know, we're asking a lot of him. We're asking him to not only try to guard Steph, but which is almost an impossible task for anybody, but you know, and then to go get it for us on the other end of the floor. And you know, physically, obviously, he has to have a toughness that that is at a level higher than what he's ever thought of before. But it's also that mentally too, because that's a mental challenge for anybody. And you know, he did what he could to help us get the win.
Mike, what did you make of the way that the Warriors defended Domas and his game, sagging off him so much and stuff?
Yeah, no, they were physical. They did exactly what they were supposed to do. You know, I'm assuming in their game plan, and you know, Domas has seen all types of coverages. He's kind of seen that before, so we feel that Domas is going to have he's going to have his games coming up, and we weren't concerned about that. The biggest thing is with him shooting the ball the way he did, and us still finding a way to win, continues to help give us a little bit more confidence and belief. And you know, for a young team that hasn't been there, that's a big ingredient that we're going to need going forward.
Mike, you talked about that where Domas had a rough game, Kevin didn't have a great shooting game, Keegan didn't have a great shooting game, but you guys still came away with the win.
Right.
How big is that for you guys? And I think it's kind of who you guys have been all season long.
100%, you know, and guys have struggled throughout the course of the year, and when they've done so, it always seems like somebody else different steps up, and that was the case. You know, Malik stepped up big for us, but Trey did too, you know, and I mean, quiet as kept, Alex had a huge game for us on both ends of the floor, and Davion had a big game for us. So we have guys that will go to if somebody else isn't quite getting it done at the end of the day. But we have confidence in everybody, and we want them to be able to continue to shoot the ball and play with aggression, you know, throughout the course of our postseason run.
Mike, what do you tell them? You used the word confidence several times. For this young team to come out game one, defeat the defending champions on their home court, what do you feel that does just for them mentally, physically, and also as you guys look ahead the rest of the series in order to boost their confidence?
You know, it's like anything you do. Every time you get a win, especially if you're trying to execute a game plan versus the defending champions, and on top of that, it helps breed that confidence even a little bit more, that belief a little bit more. So we know it's going to get harder. You know, it's not going to get any easier. It's not going to stay the same. It's going to get a lot harder because, you know, the more games you win and your opponent loses, the desperation starts kicking in a little bit. And, I mean, they're the NBA champions. They've been through it all. And they're not going to lay down at any time and give you this series.
Coach Brown, when you look at the experience with this team, playoff-wise, Herter and Sabonis and Trey Lyles even mentioned last night, they have playoff experience. Is there a little bit misrepresented of your team because they have the experience?
There's a difference.
There's
a difference between having playoff experience, you know, making it to the playoffs and losing in the first round, as opposed to making it to the playoffs and winning 4 or 5 championships like they have. So that's what I'm comparing. When I say that, that's what I'm talking about. If you're around long enough, you probably have a chance to make it to the playoffs. But were you in a significant role during that run? okay? And did you make it past the first round? Not only that, how many times did you do it? You know, because I tell you, I can't shoot, but if you give me 5 chances, I'm gonna make 1 of 5 shots from someplace on that floor. You know, so it's kind of the same thing. Is the experience of our team overall being in a significant role during a long playoff run in multiple years in a row is what we lack compared to a lot of other teams.
My
Like,
biggest concern
HB is one of the guys who does have that experience.
HB and Delhi, they've been in the playoffs and they've had significant roles, and they've done it for multiple years.
What does HB's presence as a veteran and a calming force and knowledge of that team mean right now at this moment?
No, it's huge. You know, you need veterans on your team. If you think about it, you look back at the history of a lot of NBA champions. I don't even know if there's if there's a team that has won it that doesn't have vets that have played at a high level for multiple years in a row. And HB is our guy that does that. You know, Delhi is our guy that does that. And so to have both those guys, as well as a guy like LB on our staff and Doug Christie on our staff and Bobby Jackson on our staff, every little bit helps because those guys have been in the playoffs for multiple years. They've made deep runs for multiple years, and they've been significant pieces on those playoff teams, if not championship teams, in LB, Delhi, and HB's case. So the knowledge that they can pass on to these guys, especially in dire situations or adverse situations, is huge, and how to respond and react to those. It's going to be key to us because, again, we don't, at the end of the day, have the experience, and so we're going to have to go through it as a group for the first time.
Mike, you were on the staff last year when the Warriors were down in the finals 2-1 to the Celtics. Just, well, what did you make of their resolve in that moment, and is that a message that you're communicating to this team, saying, hey, they've been down by more than a game, obviously, in high leverage spots?
No, you know, as time goes on, we'll say that. We just want the guys to understand it's one game, and got a long way to go, and it's going to only get harder from here. And we're going to keep reiterating that message to our guys, and you know, we'll find different ways to do that as time goes along. But we want that to really sink in more than anything else.
What do you think your biggest concern is heading into game 2?
Just it's going to get harder. I mean, they're going to come. Everything that they do is going to be magnified by 10. They're going to make some adjustments. We're going to have to try to counter their adjustments without overreacting and still continue to play the way we play because, you know, I don't know if we're good enough to go away from that right now. And we play fast, and, you know, we want to be physical on both sides of the ball, so that's no secret. That's how we're going to continue to try to play.
You know what a championship team looks like. What characteristics do you see in your team that maybe have that?
The biggest one, in my opinion, is a competitive spirit. Our group has a competitive spirit. They showed that they have a resolve too last night. We were down 10, I think, at one point late in the second half, and again, we could have easily said, "Hey, we didn't have it tonight. We got 6 more games to try to get this done. Let's just, you know what, do whatever we do and try to get through this and get ready for the next game." But our guys continue to fight and claw and find a way to get it done. And that was big. That was big for us to go through that and still try to find a way to get a win at the end.
Mike, we talked about physicality coming up in like a lot of different ways and shapes and forms, but on the defensive side, especially rebounding-wise, you guys did a really nice job. How much has that got to be who you are in this series against all their offensive rebounders?
It's got to be huge for us because, you know, we're not a big team. Alex obviously makes us a lot bigger, but this team does a tremendous job of getting offensive rebounds and then kicking it out for what we call dagger threes. And so to try to limit those as much as possible is something that's going to be huge for us because they have guys that, you know, you look at Looney, you look at Draymond, and then you look at Wiggs. We talked about, you know, I felt he helped us more than anything last year, winning the championship with his offensive rebounds. And now they got a guy in DiVincenzo that goes relentlessly to the glass every time. So to keep them off the glass is going to be big, so we don't give them the second opportunities to knock down threes.
Do you have a favorite moment or story from yesterday that you would share with us? Moment or favorite story?
Yeah, when I picked up my grandson. That was probably my favorite one.
The stuff that Draymond Green does, obviously pretty well known. You guys kind of handle some of that pretty well. Is that a moment where you have to constantly, your staff, remind them not to maybe take the bait? Obviously, Malik can chirp back, and Trey kind of smiles it off. Does that just speak to the composure of your team?
I think it speaks to the composure of our team. You know, Draymond, again, he's a freaking multi-time champion, and he's going to be who he is. And, you know, he doesn't get enough credit for who he is because he's basically, in my opinion, you know, Steph and Clay and all of those guys are fantastic, but Draymond is the engine behind that machine, and he's going to do what he needs to do to get his team going. And whatever that means, for us, we have to stay the course and play our game. We can't get caught up in anything on the side or anything like that because it'll distract us from what our goal is at the end of the day. And we've talked about it, but for us, it's not anything that we're continuing to harp on.
One more, guys.
Coach, you see the game differently than we do or fans do. Watching the film from last night, was there a particular play that really stood out to you to be like, this is what we need to do to win the series?
One of the things that stood out to me was the way we contested threes. You know, we did a fantastic job, and they're very good at getting a lot of threes up, and they're very good at drawing fouls. And the way our guys contested the three-point shot last night, I was impressed with them because, you know, they did exactly how we told them. You know, you can't jump towards their body. If you jump towards their body, they're great at, you know, whether it's sticking their leg out or extending their arm into you, and they're going to get the call because of who they are, you know. And so for our guys to contest without doing that, I thought was a big thing overall. And then, you know, like I said, eliminating the dagger threes as well as the threes in transition, which they're very good at too. We did a decent job of matching up when we were getting back, no matter if it was our guy or not.
Thanks, everyone.